Malaga from Gibraltar. So the plan is to get to Malaga around 4 o'clock and get the 5:45 interbus that leaves Malaga station and arrives in Madrid at midnight, and then take probably like a 1-hour metro to the Airbnb I'm staying at. So this game, it's gonna be my third La Liga game. So La Liga, when it was founded in 1929, it was founded by 10 teams. Which is quite interesting because clubs like Madrid were founded in like 1902 and Barcelona in 1899. At this point, you're like, okay, so for like a good 30 years or so after their formation, there was no football league that they competed in. And no, the actual football tournament in Spain at the time was the Copa del Rey. So I guess that's why it has a lot of like promise today, you know, because it was actually the first competitive football in Spain. That's what teams would compete for, the Copa del Rey. So I'm in Madrid today, the Spanish capital, and I've come to see the kings of Europe, the most successful football team in Spain, and worldwide, globally known, Real Madrid. So when I say the biggest football team in Spain, it's for no reason. Their trophy cabinet is just insane. They've won 34 La Liga titles, they've won 13 European Cups, 19 Copa del Rey trophies, which is like the Spanish FA Cup, and they've won 12 Spanish Super Cups. Real Madrid today can win their 35th La Liga title. They just need a point at home against Espanyol to secure the championship. And moving on to Carlo Ancelotti, I think today would be historic as well, in the sense of I could actually see Carlo Ancelotti make history to become the only manager to win the German league with Bayern Munich, the Italian league with AC Milan, the English Premier League with Chelsea, the French league with PSG, and now today the Spanish league with Real Madrid. It would be quite some story. Also why Real Madrid kick off at 4 o'clock. I'm wearing my Rotherham t-shirt today, Rotherham United, my late grandpa's team. If early kickoff 1:30 jib time, 12:30 UK time. If Rotherham win, they win promotion to the championship. Up the Millers, yes. Come on. So in 1931, King Alfonso XIII of Spain, he decided to do an election on whether Spain should continue to be a monarchy or become a second republic. He lost the election and the Second Republic of Spain was born. Liberal and middle-class socialists won the election. It ended up leading to more liberal reforms throughout the country, and the provinces of Barcelona and the Basque Country becoming autonomous, having autonomy. Naturally, this upset the conservative side of Spain, the church, aristocracy, the army. And so in November 1933, they managed to regain control of the Spanish government through an election victory. However, this did upset the socialists, and it led to uprisings from nationalists in Barcelona and Asturias in northern Spain, which was eventually crushed, known as the October Revolution in Spain, by a certain young general at the time, General Franco, with his forces. In February 1936, the left took control again of the Spanish government through a new popular party called the Populist Front. The conspiracy by the conservatives of Spain at the time was that this republic or government was going to use Marxist revolutionaries to take control of Spain. July 1936, the revolution took place. The idea was to take over Spanish Morocco and then have all army garrisons in the mainland revolt. So when they did revolt, some places like Bilbao, they didn't even leave the barracks. However, in smaller countries and towns, the army began to revolt. But the Republicans, which was a leftist government, they failed to supply their citizens or soldiers with ammunition and guns, which eventually meant it was easy for the nationalists to take over. By 1937, Franco had unified the Spanish Fascist Party. The war was ended in end of March, 1st of April 1939, when Franco took over Madrid and Madrid had fallen. And at this point, you may be wondering, okay, that's interesting, thank you, but what does this have to do with Real Madrid? And it has everything to do with Real Madrid. Real Madrid at the time were used as a propaganda tool for both the Republicans, the left wing, and the nationalists, the right. Luis Reguro and his brother Pedro, I can't pronounce his name properly anyway, they were from Basque origin and they played for Real Madrid. They won the 1936 Copa del Rey with Real Madrid, and Luis was the first Real Madrid player to score at a World Cup. However, both of them were big big Republicans, and they were Basque origin. When the war broke out, they began to play football for charity to raise money to support the Republicans, and it was even thought of by the Basque government. A Basque government was formed in northern Spain, and they gave the idea for them to do a tour with Basque origin footballers to go play throughout Europe and raise money, and to show that Spain is not just Spanish, it's Basque and other nationalities. They became so popular that in 1937 they were invited to a North American tour, including Cuba at the time as well. However, they never returned to Spain. Well, they did actually later on when football was back in. At the time, football was abolished because the Civil War was going on. So when football was back in, they decided to come back into Spain to play. So we left Gran Via, and from Gran Via to the Bernabeu, the best route is to take the metro to Alonso Martinez on the Green Line, change and get the blue line to the Santiago Bernabeu. Leaves you, I believe, just right outside the stadium. The then Real Madrid president he went on holiday during the war and he never returned. So that meant there was a vacancy for the presidency of the club, which was given to Antonio Ortega, which was very controversial. He was actually executed upon Franco's fascist victory in the Civil War, but he ended up being a Russian spy, so made it even worse. Soviet alignment. And so prior to the Bernabeu being built, He used to be Real Madrid's old stadium, which doesn't exist anymore, was called the Sharmadin. The Sharmadin. It was used for during the war, again, before and after the war, for political reasons. So during the war, as mentioned, with Antonio Ortega's presidency in the club between 1936 and 1939, the Sharmadin, it was used for military demonstrations, charity games, concerts, gymnastics, anything that he could do at the time for the club to raise money for the Republic. However, when he was assassinated, killed, and the fascists had won the war in 1939, the Sharmadin, it took 6 months to repair, thousands of pesetas to do, and it was used to house prisoners of war, and it was raided and burnt, and what was left was used to grow vegetables, and one of the staff members was living in the changing room. So with Ortega's departure and the Sharmadin being in absolute, not the best conditions, in 1943, Real Madrid's greatest president ever, the man who this is named after, this Santiago Bernabeu, was installed as the Real Madrid president. Santiago Bernabeu is Real Madrid, and Real Madrid is Santiago Bernabeu. So he was he started to play for Madrid when he was 14. And then when he was 14 for the youth, 17 he made his debut for the first team. He spent much of his career in Madrid and ended up becoming the club captain. And in 1931 he was appointed the club secretary. And he had this dream to make Madrid into a colossal football club. And at the time, as mentioned, it took 6 months for the Sharmadin to be repaired. And they needed to get it ready. Obviously during the war, finished in April 1939. They wanted to get it ready by October 1939 to play Atletico Madrid, which Madrid won 2-0 in front of 22,000 people. However, on average, the Sharmadin was averaging 16,000 people. So Santiago Bernabeu had this idea to make Madrid, to build a big football stadium, and initially it was rejected because of how small Real Madrid were. People thought it's ludicrous, stupid idea, waste of money, no way. In the end, the city of Madrid decided to subsidize and paid it would cost 30 million pesetas. The city of Madrid would pay 5 million towards it. So then he sold bonds to clubs and players through investments, and from Spanish companies and the Spanish government, he managed to raise the funds to build the stadium. And so he knocked down the Sharmadin, and he started to begin the construction of the Santiago Bernabeu. Work on the Bernabeu started in October 1944, and finished in December 1947. It took 3 years to build, and Santiago Bernabeu finally got his big stadium. Within 3 months, the club had 8,000 new members, and by 1948, the club had 48,000 new members. Insane. The growth of the club within 5 years was insane. So then, as quite a clever business maneuver, Santiago Bernabeu, he started to charge 15 pesetas for tickets, which was insane at the time. It's like, how can you rejuvenate and recover costs with such little ticket prices? But in the end, it actually worked. He raised a lot of money, a lot of funds, and he ended up fulfilling his dream. Madrid ended up buying world-class players like Di Stefano and Puskas. The Bernabeu was still named the Sharmadin Stadium until 1955, when it was changed to the name that is today, Santiago Bernabeu. Bernabeu was also instrumental with Gustavo Cepes and a French journalist about the idea of the Champions League, which Real Madrid ended up doing. Through his tenure-ship, his presidency, Real Madrid won 6 European Cups, 16 La Liga titles, and 6 Copa del Rey trophies.